Another episode of the Brownsville Minute. This is a platform that is set up for all of our community residents of Ocean Hill, Brownsville. It is an intimate and conscious discussion that we are having on a week-to-week basis, where we are bringing you some of the fun facts, some of the hard conversations, and pretty much what's happening on the ground in Ocean Hill, Brownsville. It is an opportunity for community voices to be heard, and collectively discuss the important issues that concerns all of the residents. Without the community residents, we would not be here. Without the issues and concerns, we would not be here. But we want to make sure that we are addressing all the concerns in a way that brings love, compassion, and unity within our community. It is one that we decided as a community that we are healing, bringing collective unity to the community, and pretty much developing our own voice, because we are recognizing that the person on the white horse isn't going to come to save us. So it is important that we do things at a localized level, the Brownsville way. That's the only way. My name is Anita Pierce, and I am the owner and a Brownsville baby of 11375. I am a small business that is growing into a major empire. Again, just like any of the businesses that are out there have been impacted, we have been impacted as well. However, we did make some adjustments where all of our services are virtual. So if you are in need of a business reboot, if you're looking for someone to build capacity, if you're looking for virtual hugs, I give those too. But more importantly, we are just excited to be able to serve the community. Part of one of the other projects that I'm working on deals specifically with a project that I work really closely with my next guest, which is Mobility Labs. And Mobility Labs is a program that is pretty much helping to provide solutions. And the solutions are heartfelt and led by community residents as it relates to economic mobility. And I am super excited to bring on my next guest, because she is also a Brownsville baby. But she is a powerhouse within the community, pretty much on the ground, making sure that we stay accountable, that we understand the importance of ownership, that we really understand the importance of connecting the dots, and that we are embedding our soul to be able to grow and develop the Brownsville way. So I want to take this moment to, pretty much say welcome, but also to introduce my next guest, which is LaShawn Allen Muhammad, who is the Executive Director of Central Brooklyn Economic Development Corporation. So I want to say welcome, LaShawn.
Thank you, Anita. Hello, everyone.
And so pretty much I'm just gonna, I don't want to do like the bragging rights, but I want to just give you an opportunity to be able to share just, first of all, let's start with, how are you and your family doing during this pandemic? So I always, want to start with that, because the reality is we still are operating and functioning during this time. There has been so much that has happened. But I just want to take the time to just check in to see how you all are doing before we jump in to the deeper conversation.
Thankfully, we are fine. We're doing well. The children are adjusting to homeschool. My husband is fine. My whole entire family are doing well. And we are thankful to Allah for that. And, it's just, but not to minimize the catastrophic loss that we have all experienced in this pandemic, so I just want to also just share and, give condolences to those who may be watching, who may have lost a loved one, a friend. This is just something that is devastating.
Right. And so, tell us who you are really. Like, who are you really?
Who am I? Well, I mean, well, first of all, my name is LaShawn Allen Muhammad. And for those of you, and hi to everyone who, and peace and blessings for those who know me already and are watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting Anita and the Brownsville Minute. But for those of you who may not know me, again, my name is LaShawn Allen Muhammad. I am well, first and foremost, wife of student minister Henry Muhammad, Ma 7C, and mother to some wonderful children, so I'm a wife and mother first. And but I also serve as the executive director of Central Brooklyn Economic Development Corporation, a local not-for-profit located in Brownsville. And as Anita said, I'm a Brownsville baby. So this is where I was born and raised and spent my formative years. I was born in Brookdale Hospital, raised in Tilden Projects. So I am who I am is a young Black girl who grew up in the community that received nothing but love. Yes, we weren't rich, but we were rich in community. And so Brownsville and growing up here is really who, played a huge role in shaping me, to be who I am today or part of it, and so I'm always thankful to my community and, my family, right? So I was raised, by some strong women and, and so, yeah, that's who I am, right? I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a community advocate, I'm a sister, so a friend.
And
that would summarize it.
And she's a beautiful soul, I can tell you that. So I just want to, just kind of unpack, our current realities, right? Just thinking about, some of the things that are layered on top of what we're already dealing with in Brownsville.
Yeah.
So from your lens, what are some of the things that you have been seeing in terms of, we always put it into groups. We have healthcare issues. We have overall economic issues. We have, educational issues. Like from your perspective, let's do this. What do you want to focus on first?
Well, I mean, so when I saw the invitation, it said, we would be talking about, the impact of COVID-19 economically.
Right.
So that's the overarching, place I would like to speak from. But we, how we talk all the time, Anita, we can talk about any and everything because it's all important. I don't want to say one is more important than the other. I mean, I think they all pretty much are related and pretty much are connected, which is why we are seeing the catastrophic, impact that's happening, right? Because there are a lot of unemployment was always an issue, right? Income levels were always an issue. Lack of basic and quality healthcare has always been an issue. Although we do have a hospital and we have a clinic system, which, institutions do the best that they can. But in neighborhoods like Brownsville, we are always lacking, right? There's always a delay, right? So, it's not taken away from the important work and the hard work that's being done in the community, but there always is a need for more. And so I would say that what I'm seeing on the ground is everything we've been dealing with magnified by 10.
By 20, I would say.
I was trying to be,
by 20. I know that, in thinking through when this first started, I know it's been around for some time, but when it definitely hit our community, I know that we had, concerns about our seniors, concerns about our youth, concerns about each other, because we don't want to minimize our experience as well, even though we may not fall into those particular buckets.
Right.
So from your perspective, how do you think that we're doing a good job with managing what's happening with our seniors, with our youth, and with the everyday residents?
I think we're doing the best we can with what we have. I think that's fair to say. Could we be doing more? Yes. Could things have been done quicker? Yes. But if there were an infrastructure in place to activate as soon as something happens, right? So we are always in a reactive mode, right? So this has been a huge lesson for everybody to be prepared. And so this isn't going away. No one knows fully what's going to happen next. But what we do know is that life as we knew it is over. And so the question is, what do we do next?
And then thinking through, some of the, on the ground next steps that, again, we don't have a full plan, but we've been in a number of discussions as to what, the future does look like for Brownsville. And your organization, I know, is on the ground working on a number of different specific programs, and also not just programs, but just more about teaching and training. Would you be able to elaborate on some of the new work and also additional work that has been happening?
Yes. Well, first, I'll like to start and just discuss what we were doing prior to COVID-19. At Central Brooklyn, we were offering high school equivalency classes, adult literacy classes. We ran an after-school program teaching entrepreneurship to middle school students at Brownsville Ascend. Brownsville Ascend Middle School. And so we also ran a small non-for-profit incubator where community-based organizations who were, interested in starting up could come to us for support, and as well as access to home ownership. So these were the programs that we were running prior to COVID-19 taking over our lives. And so, but because we prepared, and I want to go back to that word, being prepared, when this happened and everything shut down, the building, we are located at 444 Thomas Boylan between Pickens and Eastern York Avenue. And the young man that you see on the screen, Shamrock, he is one of our graduates. And, we, and with his permission, we have him on the flyer because he represents the greatness in Brownsville, right? That's one of our great components of Brownsville, our young Black men. And he was an intern at Made in Brownsville. That's one of our other partner organizations. And he, wanted to do something else with his life and move forward. And so, he left Made in Brownsville, he finished his internship, and then he joined our program and was able to get his high school equivalency diploma, graduate, and now he's an apprentice in an exterminator program. So he is doing an amazing job. And so he's an example for, other young men where, we provide that support and that service. So we were offering classes 3 days a week. And I'm happy to say that since COVID happened, we were able to migrate to a full virtual platform. So this was something that we had in place prior to this happening, where we would accommodate our students. And I like to just brag a little bit about the staff at Central Brooklyn. We have Miss Nicole Clay, who's our lead instructor. We have Nadine Zayas, who's the assistant instructor, and they just do such an amazing job with our students. And so Nicole, when she came into the organization, what she brought with her was, this expansion, right? This access to this virtual platform. And so this was about 4 years ago. So because we had this in place already to accommodate parents who may have to stay home with their children or have doctor's appointments where they wouldn't have to physically be in class to keep up. And so because we had that in place already, we were able to pivot really quickly and keep our doors open. So we are still operating. We are offering enrollment information sessions. You can email us or call us, and I know the information's on the screen. But every Tuesday, we host an information session at 11 a.m. So anyone who is, now that you have to be home for the most part, now you have some more time, then perhaps it's time to join the program and, just take that next step. So those are some of the things that, we were offering before. So that's why I wanted to kind of give some background. And I also want to mention our after school staff. Anisha Williford, our program director, she's doing such an amazing job with our consultant, our education specialist, Barry Cooper, and D'Angelo Haywood, and Ms. Claire Toppins, our group leaders. And I want to make sure it's important to recognize your staff, because there would be no programming or organization without a great team. And so I really want to acknowledge them here. And so, again, we were also able to migrate to an online platform to continue to support Brownsville Ascend middle school students in this environment. So what that means is we haven't had to lay off staff. This was another economic, a huge impact. A lot of not-for-profits who were not able to migrate to a virtual platform pretty much had to close their doors temporarily, and so that's, the unemployment rate that was already at a certain percentage is now, as we said earlier, magnified, and so, we're proud that we are able to continue to provide services to the community. And some of the new programs the new initiatives that we're working on is we're building a virtual platform for the entire community of Brownsville. We're launching it as a Brownsville COVID-19 response site, but this is, it'll be something like you've never seen before in Brownsville. And, it's been a long time coming. But what we realized is that although we worked well together already, we have a long way to go, and we have to work collectively much more and closer as community-based organizations. And so through this platform, we'll be able to make sure that no organization is left behind, right? Every service, every resource that is available in the community, you will know about it. And then we'll also be able to see if there are any gaps. So those who are interested in starting new programs that want to join our incubator, then we'll be able to see what new programs are needed in the community so that there's a space for a person, and then you'll get support to build. Because what is going to be critical moving forward is that our communities are managed and organized by the people who live there, right? If you look at our commercial corridor on Pickens Avenue, I would say probably less than 1-2% of the businesses are owned by people who live here. This is a problem, and this is why, we're pretty much at the mercy of others. So these are some of the things that we are putting in place now, so that moving forward, we are in control of what happens, right? And where we can support each other to make sure that, we're never in this position again.
So to all my folks who are watching live, this is what I mean by a powerhouse, right? Right. And I'm the person right now behind the powerhouse, because clearly, when you hear someone says that we need to start owning our own, and, and all jokes aside, it becomes important. Because when you own, you have the power to control. When you own, and not control in a mean and malicious way.
No.
But it's really about understanding the power of being able to make change by owning. So I want to point out another thing. LaShawn mentioned about the Pickens Avenue corridor, and that there's a lot of small businesses that do not own property there. I'm always curious to wonder why, because we always are investing in other things that are not business minded. We will purchase things, material things, but not property. And I'm not saying that most of us do not have the ability to do it, because we do. We just need to start thinking collectively and being able to utilize our resources to be able to really collaborate and support one another. So I just so happen to, I see a number of questions, LaShawn, that they're asking, how can we help? So what are some of the ways that the community—
I'm smiling.
ear to ear, because it's important.
Yes,
people want to know how can we help, like really help?
So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for those who want to help and lend a hand to help move this forward. We need your talent, right? We need your gifts. Things that you just do naturally really well is needed, right? So for instance, with the site that I was talking about, we are actually hosting a pre-ribbon cutting on Tuesday, May 12th. And so we're going to do a sort of like an unveiling of the site, even though it's not finished and it's not complete, because we need your input, right? So that's a space where you can help. We need to make sure that we know all of the organizations that are seen and unseen. We need to make sure that we know about all the resources that are available for people. We need to know, who are our teachers, who are our nurses. We need to know where the talents are in Brownsville, so that way, for whatever reason, if we are totally cut off, right? Because sometimes that can happen, right? If the next thing that happens, and everyone has heard or pretty much has heard something around what the prophecy says, that what we're dealing with right now is pestilence, and what comes behind pestilence is famine, right? And so we're hearing these stories and we're hearing rumors. And so what will happen if for whatever reason Brownsville is cut off from the rest of the city, state, or what have you? How will we organize and make sure that the wheel keeps turning, right? And so we need to know who are gardeners, who are our farmers, who, just those basic things. So we're going to be discussing this on Tuesday, and so we need all the help we can get from the community of Brownsville to let us know, to inform us about what's happening, right? And then there'll also be, I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to give too much away because we're going to do this on Tuesday. But what I will say though is there's also, this is being built for Brownsville, so it's for us, by us. And so if there are any campaigns, any issues that you want to raise funding for, right, for your organization, you'll have a platform to be able to do that, right, and manage that. So we're really excited about it. And so I would say initially, that's the initial help that we will need, but it will be more.
But I always like to, bring in that if you are interested in donating, because,
yes.
the things that we do does require financial support. We are not, asking for $1 million, a gazillion dollars, even though we definitely
need. Yes, we are. Yeah, we are. Yeah. But I want to go back to the commercial property when we finish this point. So we all need that $1 million. Yes.
Yeah, but that's afterwards. But in the interim, in all seriousness, because oftentimes we do have a community of individuals that do have additional resources. You may not be rich. So part of the makeup that we know that exists in Brownsville is that there are some who live in homes, and there are individuals who are still working.
Yes.
Right now, I know that I'm not really spending a lot of money. Except with food and, the other stuff that is really going up right now. But for the most part, $50 can go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not. And if you have 98,000 people plus times 50, think about the impact that can be made. I'm thinking about the campaign that the former president Barack Obama did. I think he did like a $10 or $5 campaign. So do not minimize the importance of donating to your local community-based organizations. These are the organizations, I can think of a few. Central Brooklyn Economic Development Corporation, Made in Brownsville, the culinary school right now, that's the collective fair, has been on the ground providing hot meals for our community from day one that this has started.
Absolutely.
And they need resources. So if you want to think about how you can donate, please consider looking at, the organizations who are really on the ground and really getting their hands in the dirt. Because I'm a person that believes that, we have our hands and our resources. We just have to put them to use and not be afraid to collaborate with one another. Because the truth is, the person on the white horse is not really coming to save us. We got to save ourselves. So with that said, I'm going to show, there was a slide that LaShawn mentioned that we are, because I'm telling you, Central Brooklyn is doing a lot of work. And this is the Brownsville hub that I'm going to.
Thank you, Anita. So for those of you who are watching, I'm not sure how many of you might be aware of the Brownsville Plan. But if you are not, please you can Google it and the information will pop up. The Brownsville Plan is a process that's being managed by the New York City Housing Preservation Department, HPD. And I'm going to try really hard not to speak in acronyms because we all do. But we can't assume that everyone knows or speaks the same, language. So I'm going to try to be really good about not using acronyms. So about 4 years ago, maybe even going on 5, but about 4 years ago, I want to say, this process started in Brownsville, where we have vacant lots that are owned by the city Housing Preservation Development Department. And there was this idea, okay, so we have these city-owned lots, let's develop, right? Affordable housing has been an issue. That's another area where, we are in crisis mode in Brownsville, and well, around the city, but we are experiencing, everything happens, at a higher level in our communities. So there was this year-long process where the community engaged in a series of information sessions, community planning sessions to inform the city what they wanted to see built on these lots. And so there were, all sorts of ideas that were, that were put on the table. And so what wound up happening, the developments they're going to be mixed use, right? There'll be commercial space on the bottom and apartments on the top. And so I also should mention that this is, and I don't want to get the number wrong, but I want to say maybe about $1 million investment, or I know because there's two programs happening. There's the Brownsville Plan as well as the Vital Brooklyn, right? That's also another affordable housing program. And so what happened was, based off of community feedback, each lot was named a theme, right? It was associated with the theme. And so on the lot near your where Alika Samuels, our city council member, and Latrice Walker, our assembly member, their office on Rockaway, right? So I hope everyone knows where the office is, on Rockaway between Pickett and East New York Avenue. There's a huge lot next door that's been vacant forever and a day. That's one of the lots. And that one is going to be, it's being allocated for cultural and, programs, and dance programs, and I think theater and things like that. And so on Livonia Avenue, those lots are going to be, that's, I think, health and wellness is the theme there. And so on Christopher and Glenmore, there is that lot is going to be, is allocated for entrepreneurship and innovation. And so we went through the process. Community-based organizations were asked to co-facilitate and really be part of the process. And we had the opportunity to partner with developers to be part of their proposal. And so thankfully, Central Brooklyn Economic Development Corporation, we partnered with, or were a part of, Brisa Builders' proposal, and were selected to develop on the Christopher and Glenmore site. So the Brisa Builders won the bid, and will be developing the on that lot. And what's key about that is, as Anita mentioned before, right, our business corridors, and how we don't own the real estate. And so the Beeville Hub is going, that's all this, by the way, so you see the picture there, it says Beeville Hub. What that will be is sort of like an incubator, a space for, organizations, for businesses to start up, right? And so there'll be co-working space there. There'll be, classrooms, there'll be meeting rooms, and really like a business hub in Brownsville. And so that's the starting place. And so, we're so excited about this project and to be working with Brisa Builders. She is a Black woman developer, one of the very few in New York City. I'm just very proud of that sister, just in general, but even more proud to work with her on this project. And so we're really looking forward to it. And so what I wanted to go back to say a minute ago, when we were talking about the commercial spaces, one of the things that's going to be critical for this process, right, and for us to really focus on ownership moving forward, it's one thing to help businesses start up, right? You can, have your idea, you can conceptualize and figure out what you want to do, get all the resources and start up. But where do you open, right? Where do you take after your ideation period, where do you go next? So one of the other projects that we're working on with a group of graduate students from Hunter College Urban Policy and Planning Department, they are literally, they've done some research to assess what commercial buildings, who the owners are of the commercial businesses on Pickett Avenue, on Belmont Avenue, as well as who owns the private lots. Because now we have to start inquiring, are you willing to sell your building, right? Can we purchase this lot? Because we have to start developing. This is where it's going to be really important about that, what I mentioned earlier, what happens next, right? Because we have to own our spaces Otherwise, we'll always be at the mercy of other people, which is why there are a lot of businesses in trouble right now, right? Because if they're leasing space from a landlord, they still have to pay rent. But when you own your space, it's a little bit different. You can negotiate differently with a bank, right? If you have a mortgage versus with a landlord who also has bills to pay. So that's one of the key things that we're going to be looking at and, trying to figure out collectively, right? What this is going to look like and what we need to do to make this a reality.
So I think you unpacked a lot, and I'm actually excited and looking forward to when that process starts. But I'm curious to find out about the process for what's next for the entrepreneurs in particular, because I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes.
In particular, getting certified as a minority women business enterprise so that they are able to participate in the projects that are coming locally. You
Yes.
want to expand on that?
Oh, yes. And so also connected with Erica, we actually went to, we applied for discretionary funding, which is the process where you can apply, any, organization, not-for-profit, can apply to city council for support for a program or a capital project. And so knowing that, and this is why it's so, again, I admire Erica a lot, not just for, the space that she holds in the city, but really where her heart and compassion is, for her community. And so whenever you build, any developer that comes into a community and there's, building happening, right? So there's a lot of contracts that get awarded, right? There's a lot of money. These projects are multi-million-dollar projects. The city and the state have a mandate that 30% of these budgets, right? If you have public funds, 30% of those funds have to be spent with a minority or women-owned business enterprise, right? Which, like an Anita or other businesses that are certified. Well, we have an issue, in our community, so it always trickles down, right? Where we really don't have the capacity to compete with larger businesses, right? So one of the things that Erica is building into this project is to make sure that we are reaching out to those businesses that are already certified. I'll start with them, that are already certified, but may not be at the space where they can actually bid on the project. So because this is about maybe 2 years out, we're going to start working with them now. So we were given some seed funding from the Brooklyn delegation to work with these businesses to help them build capacity. So now that she's building her own pool of contractors, from the community. And so that's very key. And so for those who are not yet certified, the New York City Small Business Administration, Small Business Services, SBA is the feds, Small Business Services, SBS, as they're known, they have a free minority or women-owned business enterprise certification. And they actually host free seminars, virtual seminars, I want to say once a day. I do have the information. So for those who are interested, you can send me an email. I'll share it at the end of this broadcast. So that way, if you need more information, I can absolutely share it with you. Anita can share it with you because she's actually certified. Congratulations again. And so these are the things that we have to make sure that we get in place. So we have to incorporate, we have to get our business together. We have to get certified. If we're certified, we have to get to a space where we can actually bid on these projects, because the city, state, and federal government have funds to spend, and they're supposed to spend 30% of those budgets with minority and business and women-owned business enterprises. But we just need that. We just need the support, to make sure that we are, all our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed. That's imperative. And so, that's another role, that we will be playing to assist those businesses to and then connect to those the free resources at the city and state level.
So it's interesting that you mentioned about what's going to happen in terms of getting, our community residents and entrepreneurs ready to be able to bid on this process. And I just want to say that I recently became minority women business enterprise certified with the state. And so what's happening is that I am working on fast tracking. My application is being fast tracked to the state. And
Excellent.
I have to put this out there because my story, maybe I told it, but I'll share my process because I started out pretty much 5 years ago with my business. And this was me being a new mom and trying to figure out what am I going to do, still having this bug to want to contribute to the community, so I joined the community board. And so what happened within that following year of me actually filing the paperwork and formalizing the business. And I want to emphasize that because oftentimes, as community members, we have hustles, but we don't want to put in the paperwork. And we get upset when we have, other businesses who have their paperwork and have everything. We can't compete in the process if we don't have the paperwork. Right. We can still do the side hustle. We can still, do whatever it is we need to do to be able to get our community growing. But if we want to be at the table and compete and have a voice, we need the paperwork. So right. I wound up hosting a Minority Women Business Forum. This was now almost 4 years ago.
Yes.
And I had no knowledge of what it meant to be a minority women business enterprise. Mm-hmm. I learned. We pulled in some resources from the community to be able to walk us step by step as to what we needed to do to become certified. And right. So once that happened, I'm like, you know what? I'm really, tired of being passed over because I don't have the paper that says that I can do what I know I already could do. I almost equate that to, when I went to college, right? I couldn't get into the door unless I had a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't because I wasn't smart. It was just a matter of a barrier of a piece of paper that we needed to say that we kind of fit the profile to be able to get in the door. Right. And that's all it is. If once you have the paper, your paperwork and your documents in order, you can compete. And I want to emphasize that because I know oftentimes, again, we're like, oh, it's someone else's fault. Part of it is our responsibility in putting in the work. Yes. And so if you have an organization that is on the ground, that is providing you with free services to be able to get this stuff done, take advantage of it because it will allow us to be able to grow and to really be able to place a barrier around our community and be like, listen, we got this, right? Because we have the skill set, we have the smart, and again, we're creative people. Yes. And so whenever I say, that we make, I find that we can hustle any and everything. Somebody can sell you, pills, that's Tylenol to say that, you can get your stomach down and we'll buy it. But people know how to sell it, but we just do not want to get the documents and things in order. So I am encouraging you all for anyone who, wants to do it. We have, individuals who are providing real access and real information on the ground for us to be able to grow and develop our own businesses, education, and we're really smart people. So I want to encourage you to take advantage of these opportunities as they come forth. I want to ask LaShawn, because I know that there's been conversation. I also see within the comments about concerns as it relates to the Summer Youth Employment Program. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that, your organization does have plans to be able to offset some, but obviously, you're just one of the organizations on the ground that, will help to combat some of this. How important is building a technology infrastructure going forward within our community?
Oh, I mean, it's important. Is like there's no like it's vital. It's vital. We have to increase our technology skills. Right, it is the way of the future. And we see what's happening right now. All the schools are shut down and people have to homeschool their children remotely through devices. And there are a lot of people who are lost. They are, and so we really are, we are behind. And so, just so I know that there's like a two pronged question. And so I would say technology, absolutely. If that could be one of the startup businesses that comes out of the Beeville hub, that would be amazing. It's needed. But also, I was going to say something about the summer youth, right? That was the other question. What we are seeing right now, right? And as I mentioned earlier, I haven't had to lay off staff yet, right? Because we were able to migrate onto a virtual platform. There were a lot of, because of, lack of technology skills or what have you, we're not able to pivot quickly to migrate to a virtual platform. So I think that if more of our organizations were supported in doing that, then they can hire people to work with them remotely. So, we have to make sure that our community residents are trained, that they know how to access and use these virtual platforms. We also, now there are also other jobs that are now, sort of emerging based off of what's happening right now. Data analytics, right? Because everything is about data. What percentage of this is happening? How many people were tested? How many people unfortunately passed away? How many? There's always talk about data, right? So if we need to be our own researchers, we need to be able to collect data and make sure that we're able to report in real time. That takes skills, right? A lot of our technology jobs, even for this country, is outsourced to India and other places. We have to bring these skills and this work back to the United States. So again, things happen at different levels, right? In the United States, in New York State, in New York City, and in our communities like Brownsville, right? That is what needs to happen. So if imagine, most of the organizations were able to migrate to a virtual platform, then, maybe, most jobs wouldn't have had to lay off people, right? So that's some of the things that we need to start thinking about. And we have been having conversations about how to get people redeployed and trained so that they can now work with those spaces like a collective affairs, who are now bursting at the seams because they are so busy dealing with the food crisis. So, those are things that we we need to think about. And this is, I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. This is scary times for people, right? And so there's also that, people are not sure what's going to happen. There's anxiety, there's all of that. But this is why it's so important for us to work together, to be a support to one another, right? And, it's okay to feel that way. It's okay. And it's okay to voice it. But the thing is not to get frozen and stuck in fear. Acknowledge how you feel, talk to somebody about it, connect spiritually. And I have to say this, right? The moral compass of this country is just gone, right? And so how we were raised, how our forefathers and mothers, we have Black people, our culture, we have some serious morals and values, right? And we have lost touch. What's happening right now, it's like there's a reason why everyone's been put on punishment. And so I think we need to take this time to reflect and kind of bring it in, and make that connection, because that is the only, I'm not going to go off on that, but it's critical. It's that critical. And so, but again, one thing I want to also share is there's this wonderful book. You see this, Collective Courage? This is what we need right now. Right. And so this is a professor that I met some years ago, Professor Jessica Gordon Nimhard. She wrote this book. And what it's about is pretty much how Black communities worked together years ago during, Jim Crow. And, when, we were in these communities where, everything was sort of, our communities were decimated. And we know that. Right. And so how we got together and created insurance companies, right? How we work cooperatively. So this is a book on Black cooperatives. And so, if you get a chance, we put it up again. And, for people to, I don't know, how am I doing this? Okay. Like center. But this is a wonderful book, and it's a wonderful reminder of just the title in and of itself. Collective courage is what we need and what we're going to need to make it through.
And on that note, I say amen. The show is over. But we have, LaShawn, I have some more guests coming on, but I want to allow you to, just share some final thoughts. You always drop bombs on me. Good one too. But I definitely want to be able to, just any last thoughts, because I'm sure you're going to be back on the show, but just as we are entering into this time, any final thoughts that you can share?
I don't want to take too much more time. I know you have other guests coming, but I just want to thank you first and foremost for creating this platform and giving us an opportunity to have a voice and to, connect on a higher level with our community. So I thank you, Anita, for that. Again, I just encourage everyone to just plug in, get connected, join us this coming Tuesday, May 12th. This is like part 2. And just hear more about what the other organizations that we work with are doing and how you can help. And so I would just encourage you all. I meant to leave my email address. I can be reached, and I think it's also scrolling across the banner here, but my email address is info at cbedc.co. Again, info at cbedc.co. Our phone number is 718-498-4513. Again, 718-498-4513. Give us a call, email us anytime. And, we look forward to working with you and just, working together to move Brownsville forward. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Happy Mother's Day, Anita.
I know. Motherhood is we LaShawn and I joke. We say we have first, second, and third shift.
Yes.
When you have children. So LaShawn, I am truly honored and thankful to always work with you. I know we're going to talk again tomorrow because we still got the 5th shift to manage through.
And DP is watching, right? The website developer. We have work to do, and he's like, "You on this interview, and you supposed to be working."
Tell him we're going to get to it after the shift is over. We'll be okay.
After the shift. That's right. Thank you, Anita.
I want to thank you all, and thank you for LaShawn. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Okay, take care.
Okay, take care.